Alright guys, I'm back with my review of this week's episode of The Walking Dead, Season 3, Episode 5, Say the Word. And this was a good episode this week. Not a lot of action, but after last week's episode with all the deaths and just the chaos going on, you had to expect some downtime, especially on the prison side of things where they had to deal with what just happened. A lot of focus on Woodbury this week. But judging by the preview for next week, they're definitely going to make up for that. It looks like a lot of action going down next week, so pretty excited for that episode. But this one starts off in Woodbury, and they're having a big party, and we see the governor brushing a zombie girl's hair in his bedroom, I guess, and he keeps this girl in a straitjacket, and we find out it's his daughter. So he's keeping her alive. Kind of reminded me of Shaun of the Dead a little bit, and he looks out his window and he sees Michonne looking up at him. So back at the prison, Daryl and Maggie head to town to get some supplies for the baby, some bottles, formula, things like that. And Rick takes an axe and just goes on a zombie killing spree, basically. He just goes in the prison and just starts cutting down zombies. He's kind of losing it right now. Back in Woodbury, Michonne sneaks into the governor's office, and she steals her sword back. And she's flipping through this journal, she's looking around, and she sees a journal with all these names written in it, and she turns the page, and it's just a bunch of lines written over and over again. Just really weird, creepy stuff here. Like the governor needed more stuff to make him creepy. But she ends up going to this old abandoned factory, and this is still in Woodbury. But she's walking around and she sees this cage full of walkers. And they're feeding the walkers. And she just sets them free and then kills them with her sword, which was actually a pretty cool scene. Shows like some gore and stuff here. But she's killing these walkers. And she gets caught, of course. And the governor kind of interrogates her. She mentions Penny, which was the last name written in the journal. And so the governor offers her a job. I'm thinking, what is wrong with this guy? So Michonne, in response to this offer, pulls out her sword and puts it to his throat. I don't know why he's putting up with this, why he thinks it's worth it to keep her around when she's obviously not going to follow the rules and just going to cause trouble. And if he is doing this and keeping her around to keep Andrea in Woodbury, then why does he think she's worth it? Like, what is he thinking? This is a dumbass thing to do. But, whatever. So, the governor tells Andrea what Michonne did, and how the townspeople think she's weird. And he's got to do something about this. So, Andrea goes to talk to her, and Michonne says, "We gotta leave. Don't trust anybody in town." We see Merle and the scientist guy checking some traps for walkers. At this point in the episode, we don't really know why. And Merle actually takes one of their teeth out. But they do explain that later. Back in town, Andrea and Michonne go to leave. They tell Merle to open the gate. And Andrea doesn't really want to leave. She's just doing this to prove to Michonne that they're free to come and go as they please. And they are. So Michonne says, "This isn't right. This is a setup. They knew we were coming. They're staging this. We're really not free to come and go." And Andrea's like, "Do you hear yourself? You sound crazy. We got everything we could want here." And Michonne says, "Well, I'm leaving. And you just slow me down anyway." And she leaves. So Andrea stays behind, and now she's stuck in Woodbury without anybody to watch her back. Back at the prison, Glenn goes to try and talk some sense into Rick. This was awesome. I really like this. I like Crazy Rick. Rick grabs Glenn, shoves him up against the wall, and Glenn just leaves. I like Glenn too. I think he's a great character, but I really like Crazy Rick. He's got like zombie blood all over him, and it was just awesome. So Daryl and Maggie return with the baby supplies. Rick goes into the room where Lori was killed. And there's a fat zombie who apparently ate her body. And Rick sees this, and He shoots the zombie in the mouth and just starts repeatedly stabbing the thing in the stomach. But it was just really funny to me for some reason. It was like a tick. The zombie was so full, it couldn't move. It was just, ugh. Its stomach's all big and everything. It was just a full-ass zombie. So Rick's really pissed off about this, and he's just stabbing the thing. Back in Woodbury, the governor takes Andrea to this zombie fight club type thing. And we see Merle fight this other guy while they have zombies chained up around them. So it's kind of like a death match. And after a certain amount of time, they let out more chains so the zombies get closer. And Andrea's just shocked and appalled by this. She thinks it's barbaric. And the governor says it's staged. We take their teeth out. So that explains what happened previously. But she still doesn't like it. She thinks it's teaching people that zombies aren't dangerous. And the governor says, no, we're actually teaching people not to be afraid of everything that's out there. So I can see both sides of the argument here, but back at the prison, Rick is sitting in the room where Lori died, and he's all depressed and everything, and the phone rings. And he answers it and just says, hello? And that was it. That was the end of the episode. So I have no idea who was calling or what's up with that, but it should be an awesome episode next week. Looks like a ton of action happening, and I did enjoy this week's episode because you have to have the downtime after you do some crazy stuff like kill off main characters. So I thought this was a pretty good follow-up to that. And of course, I thought Rick did a great job playing the snapped, crazy guy character, but yeah. That's it, really. So I guess we'll see what happens in Woodbury. Things are really going to start getting intense there now that Michonne's gone. And yeah, just judging by the previews, I don't want to give away anything in case some people don't want to watch the previews and know what's coming. But anyways, that's my review of this week's episode. Hope you guys liked this video. Leave your thoughts on this week's show in the comments below, and thanks for watching.